Welcome to the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. Just like you, I'm an independent retail business owner. I love the home decor and gift boutique I co-own with my sister, but I don't want it to consume me or my life. Join me each week as I share lessons learned, helpful tips, and valuable information for your retail business and life. Whether you're buying your products or making your products, whether you're a $25K business or a $2.5 million business, I'm on a mission to help indie retailers work less, profit more, and grow. Let's get started on today's episode. Welcome to episode 219 of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. Tips for temporary store closings, planned and unplanned. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. So before I get started, I recently taught the Stop the Drip workshop, and I just want to give a shout out to everyone who booked that workshop. I think it's incredibly important for me to stress to retail business owners, no matter where you are on the journey, to start working on bookkeeping. I often think this is the one reason why store owners don't sign up for these types of workshops, who don't work with me one-on-one when it comes to the financials. It's because you don't have the information to analyze. I could be wrong, but I think I know enough after doing this for however many years to understand that that tends to be the reason why people hold back. But it's so incredibly important. And the conversation during the Stop the Drip workshop was great. They asked great questions. Even some of the most seasoned store owners who used the tool, the Retail Profit Pie tool, they had a couple of aha moments. They realized something out of their business. So please know that when I offer this workshop again, I genuinely hope that you can take it, because I do believe that doing one step like this not only leads you towards better cash flow management, understanding what's going on with cash flow, sometimes why you feel like there's money in the business, but you're not making any money, all of those things, why your profit and loss statement might show a big profit, but you don't know where that money is, all of those questions. So I am going to make it my mission to repeat this. Because what I find is that the more of a broken record I am, the more results all of you get. So I'm going to warn you now that I'm going to talk about this over and over and over again. I see it in master shopkeepers when I talk about something so much. I feel like I'm annoying. This is how I felt before. I don't feel like it anymore. I've trained my brain. But I used to feel like I was annoying. I used to feel like I was repeating myself over and over again. And I was. And you know what? I started seeing a difference in the people who are in master shopkeepers. I started seeing a difference in them. So now I've embraced being the best broken record you've ever heard. So again, I just want to make sure that I point that out. And I want to say thank you to the people who did show up for that workshop, because you were really prepared, and you were prepared to learn something about your business, and you all did, and you shared some great stories with me. So thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's move on to this episode. This episode is not about a checklist for someone who's going out of business or closing their store forever. I spent a lot of time crafting the title for this episode because I wanted to make sure that I was as clear as possible. So I just want to make sure that I stress that at the beginning. This is for situations where you may close your store for maybe a day or part of a day. As both a small business supporter, and I am, and someone who shops small, I definitely try my best. Plus, being a former store owner, I do believe it's important to be where you say you're going to be. Do you have to have a perfect record? No. Did I have a perfect record? No. There were 2 instances in 8 years that my sister and I closed our store for the day. 2. I take a lot of pride in that. And I did try my best at it. It is incredibly and frustrating to me when I go to shop small and I find the store closed, even more so when I do some due diligence and then I do that research before I head to the shop. Like I check social media or I check their website, only to find that the owner didn't update anything to let me know that they would be closed. I don't necessarily have a problem that that small businesses close, I completely understand that sometimes that has to happen. But it's more of like, what could you do to communicate with me so that I know before I make that trip? Being consistent isn't just a sign that you're committed to your customers, but that you're committed to yourself as a business owner. Of course, this doesn't include unexpected emergency situations. I want to be really clear about that because I don't want to make anyone angry. Like, but my daughter or my son or my mom, I get it. We've had the same situations, and I completely understand that that happens. I also know that there are going to be some instances where it makes sense to plan for closings. So, for instance, early on, especially when foot traffic wasn't strong at our store, we closed while we attended America's Mart and it was anywhere between like 3 and 5 days, and we were in Atlanta. As our business grew and as our little team grew, we had more foot traffic. Then we made an effort into like remaining open while we traveled to Atlanta. Another planned closing situation could be for the solo shopkeepers who want to take a vacation with their families in the summer or other times of year. And I think you should. I really do. I want, especially the solo shopkeeper, you do a lot in your business. You're probably working a lot of hours. You deserve a break too. So all this to say that there are some instances where closing makes sense. So whether it's an emergency situation or planned time off, I want to set you up for success when it comes to communicating about these closings. This means having a checklist so you can quickly and efficiently handle the communication process, or be able to delegate it. So maybe you'll delegate this to a virtual assistant or a family member even who has login access to some of the parts and pieces of your business. And of course, sometimes you can delegate this to a team member. The list I'm sharing with you might feel or seem extreme because you're going to hear me walk through this list, but I want to remind you that your current customers find or get updates from you beyond Facebook or Instagram. So I don't want you to think that you can just post on Facebook and Instagram and call it a day. You also have new customers who may not follow you, but do searches online to find information about you and head to your store. It could be a Google search. It could be a Yelp search. They find out about your store. They have no idea you even have social media accounts. They're not on your email list. They are brand new customers that are heading to your store. You want to be able to communicate with them too. And although the list feels comprehensive, it actually doesn't take long. Once you actually have this like little mini system in place, this should take you probably less than 30 minutes. When I created the checklist, I found that there are 5 categories, 5 areas you'll want to focus on where you'll communicate and update store hours either well ahead of time if it's a planned vacation or in the moment if it's a sudden closing. So the 5 categories are social media, your website, of course, online business directories and maps, so Google, Yelp, signage. You can have signage in your store if you have a planned closing so that you can communicate it, especially for your regular customers who come in frequently. Signage can be really helpful to them. And then, of course, email marketing. So under the social media category, I would say you're going to want to post, of course, just a general regular post. Maybe share that post to your stories because then people will see it in that fresh 24 hours. Probably in the moment, they will see that you're closed for that day if it's an unplanned closing. If you can, update it in your bio. We've done that before in the past. I think we did that when we closed for expansion for 2 weeks. I made sure that I put it in our Instagram bio so that it was really clear we would be closed for those 2 weeks. The next one is your website. Can you add a banner, one of those long, thin banners at the top of your website so it's front and center when someone visits that you're closed on that day or for that period of time? Can you update the hours on your website? The next is online directories and maps. So when I refer to this, I'm talking about Google Business Profile, and that means updating your hours. There is a way to actually post When you're updating temporary hours or holiday hours, I really worked hard at that. So during the holiday season, I would go in there and update if we were open in the evenings on particular days. You can actually pick specific dates and update the hours. You can also post, kind of like very similar to a social media post. You can post on your Google business profile and let people know that you're closing or closed or that you plan on closing. And of course, there's Apple Maps profile, your Yelp listing if you're on Yelp. Microsoft Bing Places for Business is another one that store owners use. What are all of the online directories that you can update? Now, you might ask me, like, Kathy, do I really have to update all of them? I don't know. I guess it just depends on your business. At the minimum, what I would do if I really wanted to determine where to put the most effort, if I don't want to go to all of these places to update, I would probably go to my e-commerce website stats and see where are people finding me. That at least gives you a little bit of data and information to work with. So I know for the store that I co-owned with my sister, for sure, Google and Yelp, I was updating. I wasn't updating the others, but Google and Yelp consistently came up, or in conversation when I was asking customers when they came in, how did you find out about us? Where did you learn about us? I would say most frequently it was Google, Yelp, and not even Yelp, really. It was Google and social media and our website. If somebody Googled us, they would land on our website and they would say website. This episode is brought to you by Master Shopkeepers, my mastermind group for brick and mortar retail store owners. If you're craving support, connection, inspiration, and motivation for your retail business, apply to join us. It doesn't matter what stage of shopkeeping you're in. What matters is your drive to work less, profit more, and grow, both personally and professionally. Learn more at savvyshopkeeper.com/group membership. That's savvyshopkeeper.com/group membership, all one word. The next category is email marketing. So of course, it's just logical that you want to send an email notice. You just want to send a simple email that says you plan on closing or that you're unexpectedly closing for the day. And if it's a planned closing, go ahead and schedule 1, 2, or 3 emails letting people know in advance that you will be closed for the week or for 3 days or whatever it might be. And again, since I talked about being a broken record at the beginning or repetition is really important because not everyone is going to open that email. Not everyone is going to see your social media post. So even though repetition might feel annoying to you as you do it and as you set up the emails, it can be really helpful to your customers. And the one tip that I'll give you here is go ahead and create a very simple template in your email marketing platform that you can use whenever this happens so that you're not building an email from scratch. It's all set up. Maybe it has a button on there that directs them to your online shop so that they can shop online instead. Maybe they haven't really been to your store in a while and it prompts them to visit your website because the button is easy. It's a single call to action, and they'll go and browse and possibly shop with you online and then pick up their order or have it shipped. So go ahead and create a template so that you're not doing this from scratch. So when I say that you can do this all, update everywhere in less than 30 minutes, I want you to create a template, maybe in Canva for a social media graphic. I want you to create a template in your email marketing platform. Yeah, it's a little bit of work at the beginning, but now you're going to make it super simple for you to go through this checklist every time you have to announce that you're closing. And hopefully it's not a ton, but when you do, you're going to make it as easy and efficient as possible where you don't feel overwhelmed by the process. And then the last one is signage. Again, you can create templates. You can create a template in Canva that then can be updated with the date or the day or the hours or the week that you'll be closed, and then post those across your store. Put one at your cash wrap. Put one at another spot that people tend to stop at in your store, or just a good spot on a wall that people tend to pass. And of course, put it on your front door. We did that a lot. We would put a sign on our front door for sure while we were gone. While we were in Atlanta, we would have a sign in the front window. We would have a sign on our door so that if somebody pulled up and didn't know, that they would at least see it before they got out of the car. So it was big, bold letters, very clear. We would add a message like, sorry if this caused any inconvenience. We'll be back on so-and-so date. We talk a lot about systems and processes in Master Shopkeepers. And recently on the group call for members who are in stage 3, and when I say stage 3, I'm referring to the Savvy Shopkeeper quiz. If you haven't taken the quiz, I highly recommend it because I talk about the quiz a lot and I talk about the stages a lot. So you'll take the quiz at savvyshopkeeper.com/quiz. If you haven't taken the quiz in a while, you can take it again. Maybe you've moved up in stages, so you want to know that. Maybe you want to understand that you're in stage 3 now. That's the profit planner stage that we recently renamed. But on the call, I had a member ask me to explain what I mean when I say systems and processes. Very legitimate question, especially if you're in the first 3 stages. Many store owners immediately think of an opening and closing checklist when I say this. And that's it, just an opening and closing checklist. And I'm chuckling in a way. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because that was me too. I know exactly what it's like to be in that position. And for some, systems and processes ends there with that simple checklist. And although I have a deep appreciation for that checklist, that is just the tip of the iceberg. That is the beginning of your systems and processes. The systems that you'll document and share with your teams as your business grows. However, there's so much more packed in that brain of yours. You just don't realize it. So the store closing communication checklist is an example of one of many other small systems and processes and procedures in your business. And I don't care what term you use. I don't care if it's systems. I don't care if it's processes. I don't care if it's procedures. It really doesn't matter to me. What I want is for store owners to just document more, to just get all of those things that are in your head out and documented, so that makes it easier to train future team members. It makes it easier to delegate. It makes it easier to hand it off. And for example, today's checklist, it makes it easier for you to get something done, right? I don't want you to spend 2 hours doing that. I want you to do this in 15 minutes. So if you'd like a copy of this checklist, I actually created a free Canva template that you can copy. This isn't just a downloadable PDF. I am giving you a Canva template that you can customize for your store. So you'll visit savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 219 to sign up for my free newsletter and get a copy of the Canva checklist. And the reason why I like the idea of a Canva template, which I normally don't do, Master Shopkeepers members, they get some Canva templates, but I'm doing it this time because I think this checklist is really, really important. You can remove items or add items to the list, the template that I provide, because maybe there's another place that you need your team to share an update about regarding the hours that you'll be closed. Or maybe you want to add text to the instructions. You get to create a checklist that works for your business without starting from scratch is the point. And if you don't have a Canva account, they have a great free plan. It doesn't cost you anything to use it. Of course, I have the paid plan, but I use Canva every day for a ton of things. So if you have an account or if you open a free account and you grab the template, my point is you'll be able to customize it easily. It's very clear, I think, that I'm a firm believer in being as committed as possible to consistent store hours. This checklist, I want to be really clear about this. This checklist in this episode is not me granting you permission to close randomly and frequently. I promise that's not the message here. Not everyone agrees with me on how passionate and strongly I feel about being as open and committed to your hours as possible. I get challenged on this on occasion, but I want to say this. I'm a business coach, not a hobby coach. In the end, you're an adult, you're the store owner, you decide for yourself. And I want to say this too. If this episode triggers you, or what I'm saying at the end of this episode triggers you, meaning you're finding yourself getting defensive or angry with me, ask yourself why. It may be because you close randomly, impulsively, or even recklessly. You'll want to be annoyed with me. I know. However, it just might be that you're annoyed with yourself. And I say this with lots of love and compassion because I know what it's like to blame others for something I'm doing to myself. One last thing that I want to mention, and this could go into a whole entire coaching session, and maybe I need to do a podcast episode on it, is I do find sometimes that the store owners who do close randomly, impulsively, and sometimes recklessly, and it does happen, I do find that when that happens, there are underlying reasons. Sometimes it's because they don't have a lot of foot traffic and they can't manage their minds around being in a store an entire day and not getting the foot traffic that they want, not getting the sales that they want. So when I say that, and I mean it when I say I have a lot of compassion around this, I would want to dig into more of the reason, the underlying reasons why. Why don't you want to be in your store? Why is it so hard for you to be consistent with your store hours? So please know that when I say this, it is tough love. It's a little tough, but packed with a lot of love. And I hear that a lot from listeners of the podcast who say that you appreciate where I stand on this, because I tend to have a lot of compassion and a lot of empathy. But at the same time, I'm going to be firm on what I think is best for retail, for independent retail in particular. If you want to see the show notes to this episode, find links to anything I mentioned, including getting this free checklist, because I want all of you to have it, you'll visit my blog at savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 219. That's savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 219. Until the next episode, be savvy and boss up.